Hello there, friends. My name is Melonii, and today I'm going to be talking about some silly anime convention experiences. I figured it would be a fun time of the year to talk about this, since I'm dressed up as a maid this month for Halloween, and dressing up in costumes is also pretty common at conventions. I started going to anime conventions when I was around 12 or 13 years old. One of my cousins used to take my brother and I to an anime convention about once a year, usually to a-kon in Texas. Over time, our a-kon group ended up getting a little bit bigger and bigger, but for these two stories, there's two other people you'll need to know about. Both of them are my brother's friends. Their original names won't be used in this video, so we'll call them Ash and Mailman. The first time Ash and Mailman came with us on our convention journey was in 2009, if I remember correctly. We all traveled there in my cousin's car, and the trip there took about 4 hours. On the way to the con, my brother sat in the front seat and my cousin was driving, so I sat in the back seat between Ash and Mailman, with Ash to my left and Mailman to my right. Both Ash and Mailman had old iPhones, but they were pretty new back then, which was a big deal since most people we knew didn't have smartphones yet. So, during the first hour of the trip, both of them were playing with different apps on their phones and showing me all the cool features, but eventually they ran out of stuff to say, and started to do their own thing. During the drive, we noticed every few minutes that Ash's phone would play this weird sound, indicating that he got a message. This gave Mailman an idea. After a while of boredom and silence, I looked over at Mailman's phone and noticed that he had been typing absolute gibberish on his phone, just smashing his thumbs against the letters. I thought it was a little odd, but I shrugged it off until he eventually handed the phone to me and said his thumbs were tired. He then asked me to continue typing the gibberish for him. I thought this request was odd, but I rolled with it because I had nothing better to do. As I typed the gibberish, I noticed that the name at the top of the screen was Ash's name. Ash didn't seem to notice any of this because he was occupied with texting someone, his girlfriend, I think. After about 30 minutes or so, though, Mailman took the phone back and continued to type himself. After about 2 hours of the drive, Mailman started to laugh to himself and press send. We noticed that suddenly Ash's phone got really quiet. He started wondering why he wasn't receiving messages anymore, and we actually wondered that too. But then we figured maybe it had something to do with how long Mailman's message was. For the rest of the drive to Dallas, it seemed we were bored again, and Ash joined us in his boredom because he wasn't receiving messages anymore. 2 hours later, we arrived in Dallas, but due to the construction, we had a hard time finding our hotel. By the time we found the hotel, another hour had passed. We got our room keys, grabbed our luggage, and started to look for our rooms. Right as Ash went to grab the door, that's when it happened. His phone started to spaz out, sounding something like this. And it wasn't just for 10 seconds or so. No. It continued making that sound for about 3 whole minutes, to the point that Ash couldn't even be mad about it. We all laughed really hard, almost to tears, because it seemed like the sound would never end. We hadn't even walked into the con yet, and we were already having a great time with some good laughs. However, this was not the worst of Mailman's shenanigans. This next story ended up accidentally getting the convention staff involved. Although how they got involved wasn't exactly Mailman's fault, he was just somewhat involved. This was a couple years later, so it wasn't during the same trip. However, it was the same convention. During that year, a-kon was still held at the Sheraton in Dallas, which is a little over 30 floors. I can't remember exactly what floor we were on, but I do remember that our group's hotel room was near the very top of the building. This particular event happened on a Saturday. We woke up that morning ready to explore another day of the anime convention. But before we went down to the main area of the con, Mailman wanted to play what he thought would be a harmless prank. Each floor of the hotel had these little areas near the elevators with a few very comfy and somewhat large chairs, and a small round table with magazines, likely just for people to hang outside the hotel rooms, I'm guessing. But anyway, as we were waiting for the elevator, Mailman decided to drag one of those big chairs and place it right in front of where the elevator door opens. That way, whoever came up the elevator would have to move the chair to get out of the elevator. Keep in mind, he didn't put the chair in the elevator, he just moved the chair a few feet and blocked the door. Seems fairly harmless, yeah? We didn't think about that chair for the rest of the day. We enjoyed the con, had a blast, everything seemed fine. But then we walked by the elevator on the bottom floor and noticed a very angry-looking staff member yelling about how they would have to search over 30 floors to figure out where something belonged. That's when we noticed it. Next to him was a chair, identical to the chairs that they keep near the elevators. Everyone in our group just glanced at Mailman, and we all wondered if that could be the same chair that he moved that morning. Not trying to seem like he was a suspect, Mailman mentioned to the staff member that he thought he saw a chair missing on our floor earlier that day, and that he'd be willing to bring the chair back up the elevator for the staff member. They allowed it, so up the elevator we went, sitting on this big chair all the way up 30 floors, waiting for the moment of truth to find out if this chair was the same chair that he blocked the elevator with that morning. The ride up the elevator felt like it took forever, but once that door opened and we reached our floor, our suspicions were confirmed. It was the chair that Mailman had moved, as one of the chairs was missing. We returned the chair to its spot and laughed about it a little bit for the rest of the night, but we didn't dwell on the topic for too long because we had lots of other exciting convention things to do. However, when we woke up the next morning, the chair was gone again. We all looked at Mailman, and he was like, "It wasn't me this time, I swear." Not sure how long it took the staff to get the chair back to the right floor again, but hopefully they figured it all out. I'm not sure if it was already in their handbook to begin with, but the next year we went to the con, and during their opening ceremony, as they read off the rules, they became very loud and blunt when they read off the rule of "do not move the furniture." When we heard that, we all kind of giggled silently and looked at Mailman for a moment, as if to silently say, "See what you did? Now you force them to crack down on rules." If old a-kon staff ever comes across this video somehow, I apologize that a member of my group may have caused you the stress that he did. But I will say that it was one of the silliest convention experiences I've had yet. So thank you for giving me and my old group some fond memories to laugh about. So that's it for now. Do you have any funny convention stories to tell? Feel free to share them in the comments below. I'd love to read about your experiences and get a good laugh at them as well. And if you're interested in hearing more storytime videos like these in the future, and you don't want to miss out on them, make sure to hit that little subscribe button. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Remember, you're one in a melon.